Welcome back, guys, to the emotions and the action of TCR European Endurance. We are here for the second part of race 2 from Vallelunga with the TCR European Endurance cars that are already underway, trying to get as much time as possible in this first half of stage 2. Let's remember the format: 2 races, 2 stages actually, of 55 minutes plus 1 lap, ready to give so many emotions to everyone here at the Autodromo di Vallelunga for the second round of the season. The drivers now trying to get in the groove, get in the rhythm, and gain as much time as possible. Of course, in the second stage of the race, the, the drivers are trying to get back towards the front, of course, and the result of stage 1 being added to the result of stage 2, with now the cars navigating the final part of the track, and we see Sandro Pelatti in the PMA Motorsport car in first position, now trying to navigate as well as possible the final corner of the racetrack, with Pelatti now in first position this stage 2, ahead of the Fox Racing team of Tommaso Fossati, who finished second yesterday in stage 1 with just a 2-second gap over Pelatti, and therefore the fight for second position is still on. In third place here for stage 2, we have Turgut Konukoglu in the Texaco team AMS car, the red, white and orange livery car, the number 2 one of Konukoglu and Eric Brigliadori, the winners in round 1 at Balaton Park Circuit, and the leaders after stage 1 with around a 25-second gap over the 2 drivers behind him that are now ahead in stage 2. But of course, Konukoglu now playing kind of a defensive role here in race 2, trying to understand the car and trying to get a groove for this first part of the second stage. And so Sandro Pelatti currently leading stage 2 with Tommaso Fossati and Turgut Konukoglu right behind him, the 3 cars fighting for the overall podium places. Whereas right behind them, it's Seda Kachan in the DSG car, prepared by Texaco Team AMS, the winners of the DSG class from Balaton and the leaders after stage 1 that happened yesterday here at the Autodromo di Vallelunga, with Kachan currently holding down 4th position, but now under pressure from Barkin Pinar, as we see a lockup from the number 69 car of Fox Racing Team, currently holding down 2nd position. Therefore, it's Sandro Pelatti leading stage 2 at the moment, 3rd after stage 1 yesterday. He will be looking to bring the fight to Tommaso Fossati for 2nd position, just a 2-second gap between the 2 drivers after stage 1, the 2 Audi RS3 with a sequential gearbox being the stars of the field, and the class of the field especially, with Turgut Konukoglu and Eric Brigliadori, the latter ready to take on from his teammate in the second half of stage 2. And here we see Konukoglu approaching the 2 Cimini corners right behind Tommaso Fossati. Fossati, who looked really comfortable with the car yesterday. Let's remember the Fox Racing Team is making its debut in the TCR European Endurance's 2nd race of the championship's history, with the Italian team being attracted to the series promoted by Maurizio Slaviero, thanks to the brilliant debut from the TCR European Endurance itself at Balaton Park Circuit, which saw this car winning it all, with Turgut Konukoglu and Eric Brigliadori being the class of the field in Hungary just a couple of weeks ago. But here we see the top 3 with Pelatti, Fossati and Konukoglu in the first 3 places in the reverse order actually from the podium yesterday, of course, being a provisional podium, with the race finishing only today. And right behind them we see the two Texaco Team AMS cars with Barkin Pinar, who was able to get past Seda Kaçan for 4th position in the overall standings, though the two Turkish cars are actively racing in two different categories, with Barkin Pinar in the Gen 1 car, which is of course a piece of machinery that has not received any updates from 2018 onwards. And here you can see the two Texaco Team AMS cars, with Pinar right in front of Seda Kaçan, and then behind them the local team of RC Motorsport Roma with Alberto Rodio in the car, the 57-year-old, trying to get past Kaçan in the fight for the DSG lead in this stage 2. The DSG standings saw Kaçan and her teammate Ibrahim Okyai lead things after the first stage, with the RC Motorsport car in 2nd position, and then the two Gentili brothers with Brothers in Arms and their Cupra TCR DSG in 3rd place, with Claudio handling the car in this first half of the stage before leaving to Adriano the pleasure of finishing things up here in Vallelunga. And here we are with stage leader Sandro Pelatti, 3rd after the first half of the race that was completed yesterday, but looking extra sharp this morning with the number 72 car. Of course, Pelatti, a driver with a lot of experience, not only in TCR racing, but also in TCR endurance racing. He's also competed in the TCR World Tour this year, right here in Vallelunga during Coppa Italia Turismo, and therefore he has a lot of experience on this racetrack and knows it really well, and knows where to push and where to hold back in order to preserve the tires and try and get as much time as possible over its rivals. And here you can see the lovely DSG fight between Seda Kaçan and Alberto Rodio, the latter trying to make some inroads on the Texaco Team AMS Audi. And here you can see also Claudio Gentili in 3rd position in the DSG category, looking to maybe capitalize on a mistake by either Kaçan or Rodio, with the two of them now ready to fight for the lead of the DSG class in stage 2. With now Kaçan handling the car brilliantly through turns 1, 2, and 3, the first sector being one of the fastest, if not the fastest, of the entire racetrack, before going down here towards the two chimney corners, as Kaçan is trying to make some inroads over Barkin Pinar. The Turk was able to win the ladies class, of course, in Balaton, and is the current ladies leader in the championship that of course sees Konukoglu and Brigliadori at the top. But here we have Rodio ready to make a move over Kaçan. Let's see if he can make it towards turns number 9 and 10, locking up the front right tire, looking to the inside of Seda Kaçan and sticking his nose up the inside. Let's see if he can have a good traction towards turn number 10. Doesn't look like it, with Kaçan able to defend from Alberto Rodio, who is definitely looking to make a move now, especially in this first half of the race now at the Tornatino, turn number 12, before the S's, the lead up to the final corner. Lovely work from Kaçan to keep her rival behind, but this only plays in the hands of Claudio Gentili and the other Cupra, the black one, from Brothers in Arms, who is quickly catching up to the fight for the lead in the DSG class, at least for this stage 2, with Kaçan getting the upper hand in stage 1 together with Ibrahim Okyai, who we will see in the car later on today. And here you can see Kaçan having the upper hand, at least in the first sector, whereas Rodio looks to be very quick in the other two parts of the racetrack. The cars are now flying towards the final, well, the middle part of the racetrack, with turn number 7, Campagnano coming up, as Rodio tries to see where Kaçan could be vulnerable and definitely Turn number 7 seems to be a good point for the RC Motorsport car, who looks to be a bit more hooked up in low-speed corners and gains quite some time over the Audi, which then stretches up their advantage in the high-speed sections, especially in the first sector, where we saw both Kachan and Barkin Pinar up in 4th place, sort of driving away from Alberto Rodillo, who is now looking very dangerous in the mirrors of Seda Kachan. The drivers now handling beautifully the final S of the racetrack before braking into turn 15 and start lap number 6 of this stage 2 with 42 minutes and 41 seconds remaining. Sandro Pelatti is still the leader of stage 2 with a healthy 6-second gap to Tommaso Fossati, which could see Pelatti get 2nd position in the overall standings, as he was only 7 seconds behind at the checkered flag yesterday, a gap that was then reduced to only 2 seconds because of a 5-second penalty that Fossati was handed by race control as he touched the white line coming out of the pit lane during the mandatory pit stop. And drivers need to be very careful about that, especially today. With Pelatti now, you can see the advantage and the inroads that he has made over Tommaso Fossati and Turgut Konukoglu, the latter still struggling to keep up with the two Italians in 1st and 2nd position right now. Whereas we go back to the fight for 5th place, as the number 4 car of Seda Kachan and the 5 car of RC Motorsport Roma, now driven by Alberto Rodillo, are fighting for 5th position on the road. Another lockup for Rodillo, who is definitely struggling on the braking, but he's doing so because he's pushing like a mad one, trying to get one over Seda Kachan, who on the other hand is handling herself beautifully out there here in Vallelunga. Definitely a colder day compared to yesterday, where the temperatures rose pretty quickly, and we heard from the drivers during the race after the pit stops saying just how hard it was for them out there with the temperatures being this high. So definitely today a different weather condition compared to stage 1, which looks to be helping Sandro Pelatti, currently in the lead with a 5.9 second gap, but the top 3 pretty much on pace with one another. A 43.7 from both Sandro Pelatti and Tommaso Fossati, whereas Konukoglu lost just 1/10 of a second throughout lap number 6. It's a complete different story here in the DSG class, with Kachan and Rodillo, of course, lapping pretty similarly, whereas Claudio Gentili lost quite a bit of time in the last lap. And here you can see, of course, the car of Barkin Pinar and Zekai Özen, the number 3 car, the leader of the Gen 1 class, the winner in Gen 1 in Balaton. Definitely the car to be in that class, not just here in Vallelunga, but for the remainder of the season as well. Let's not forget that we will be in Misano later on during the year on the 22nd of June for round number 3, before going to the Slovakia ring on the 25th of August for the grand finale of the season. Whereas here you can see Sandro Pelatti completing yet another lap at the top of the standings. And we must say that Pelatti has really done a great job to get acquainted with the championship and the car pretty quickly. Of course, he knows the Audi RS3 like the back of his hand after winning the Coppa Italia Turismo last season in the overall standings. And of course, he's definitely one of the quickest drivers out there today, knowing the track really well, having competed in Coppa Italia Turismo together with the TCR World Tour earlier this year. And let's not forget that, of course, the TCR European Endurance is a valid championship for the TCR World Ranking. We saw the winners of Race 1 in Balaton, Turgut Konukoglu and Eric Brigliadori make quite some inroads. Just like Seda Kachan, who was able to gain almost 100 places in the rankings that sum up every single result in the various TCR licensed championships around the world. And here you can see the number 69 car of Tommaso Fossati trying desperately to hold on to second position in the overall standings, but with just the 2-second gap that they had over Sandro Pelatti after stage 1, it's looking quite unlikely right now. But of course, with 38 minutes and a pit stop to go, things can change pretty quickly. We saw yesterday Tommaso Fossati gain quite some time in the pit stop phase compared to Sandro Pelatti, who is the sole driver of PMA Motorsport. No driver switch therefore for the Italian outfit. Almost on the gravel, Tommaso Fossati pushing to the limit. And now we can see Turgut Konukoglu starting to make some inroads, gaining 4/10 over Fossati in the previous lap. But the real star of the show so far is Sandro Pelatti. 1 minute 43.5 was the last lap, which is the fastest lap of the race, actually of the stage so far, with Fossati losing a whole second throughout lap number 8, which means that now Pelatti is looking to be the quickest driver of them all, with 37 minutes and 10 seconds remaining. Let's not forget that the pit window will open in 7 minutes time, where drivers will have to peel into the pit lane, change at least a minimum of 2 tires, and of course driver, if the team has a second one waiting for them in the pit lane. And now you can see Turgut Konukoglu in the white, red and orange Audi of Texaco Team AMS, the leader after stage 1. Now currently into 3rd place in stage 2, but of course still holding down the lead in the overall standings. But they need to be very careful because the gap was only 25 seconds coming out of the first half of the race that happened yesterday. And so Konukoglu can't really slow down too much. Of course, he needs to bring the car to the pit lane back into one piece, where then Eric Brigliadori will try and work his magic the way he did in stage 1 after taking pole together with his Turk teammate. Brigliadori was able to build a 20-second gap in the first half of the race to both Fossati and Sandro Pelatti, which was enough for Konukoglu to then handle in the second half of the stage to get the lead after the first 55 minutes plus 1 lap here in Vallelunga. It was a bit of an answer from Fossati in the previous lap, with a 1 minute 43.9, gaining a couple of tenths on Sandro Pelatti and 5/10 of a second over Turgut Konukoglu, Italian driver, a very young Italian driver, racing in the junior category as well, which is of course led by Zekai Özen after the round in Balaton, where he secured the win in the trophy reserved to drivers under 21 years of age. Of course, Fossati part of the youngest pairing in the TCR European Endurance's history, with Filippo Barberi, the 18-year-old who is ready to get back behind the wheel of the Audi RS3 of Fox Racing Team in the second half of today's stage. And we will see just how quick Barberi can be in what needs to be a superlative effort in order to gain those 7.2 seconds that separate the Fox Racing Team car from Sandro Pelatti in the lead of stage number 2. And this will also be an unprecedented scenario for the number 2 car of Konukoglu and Brigliadori. They were always on top of the standings apart from a single lap at Balaton Park circuit, where then Konukoglu was able to make the move stick over the sister car of Seda Kachan and Ibrahim Okiai after a safety car restart, and therefore Brigliadori will need to catch back up to the top 2 drivers and also make a move stick, which isn't the easiest thing to do around Vallelunga, a very high-speed circuit in the first part. And here you can see Seda Kachan handling her car beautifully through turns 1, 2, and 3. Now down towards the chimney corners, with Barkin Pinar still holding on to 4th position. Pinar and Ozen able to finish ahead of the DSG cars yesterday in stage 1 and solidifying their 4th position in the overall standings. The same result they got back in Balaton, but of course on the Hungarian racetrack they were behind both Okiai Kachan and the Hungarian team, the home favorites of Zille Motorsport, who were able to finish on the podium in the opening race of the season with their Cupra. Cupra looking a bit less competitive today, with Alberto Rodio still within touching distance of Seda Kachan. Just a 2-second gap between the two drivers. And now, of course, the RC Motorsport car trying to get back towards the podium. Another lockup from Rodio, who is definitely struggling on the braking today, perhaps even with the temperatures being lower compared to yesterday. Whereas behind Rodio, the two brothers of Adriano and Claudio Gentili currently holding 7th position as well as 3rd in the DSG standings. 32 minutes and 17 seconds to go in this second stage of the race, with the TCR European Endurance coming for the first time in Italy, here in Vallelunga, for the second round of the season after a great debut in Balaton. Sandro Pelatti leading stage 2 at the moment after finishing 3rd in stage 1 yesterday, with Conuncoglu and Brigliadori still holding the lead in the overall standings, despite being only in 3rd position so far in stage 2, but thanks to the brilliant performance by Conuncoglu and Brigliadori, especially from the latter. In stage number 1, the Texaco Team AMS car is looking good right now, with a 10-second gap from Sandro Pelatti, but a 31-second lead after stage number 1. And here you can see the RC Motorsport car of Alberto Rodio leaning on the left-hand side through turn 7. One of the peculiar characteristics of this kind of car. Here you can see again with the left rear tire, sorry, lifting up from the ground, typical of the TCR cars and the beautiful Cupra, and once again locking up, this time the right rear tire from Rodio, who is definitely struggling throughout turn number 11, but his pace still looking quite strong. Just a couple of tenths lost to Seda Kachan in the previous lap. Still a 2.3 second gap from the Turkish driver in 5th position, but of course in the lead in the DSG class. Whereas right now we are ready to open the pit window, where every single car will need to peel back into the pits to serve their mandatory pit stop, where they need to change at least 2 tires, and of course driver, if the team has one standing by in their pit box. That won't be the case for Sandro Pelatti, who is racing on his own this weekend, which makes his performance even more impressive, especially after 1 hour of racing yesterday. We will have to see if endurance becomes a bit of an issue for him in the second half of today's stage, or if Pelatti can take the fight up to Fox Racing Team in order to finish in second. But we will have to see in the second half of today's stage, which of course will crown the winners of the second round of the season, after Conuncoglu and Brigliadori brought home the win in Balaton for Texaco Team AMS. Their lead still intact, but here is the replay of the race start, with Turgut Conuncoglu on the left-hand side, of course, starting from 1st position thanks to the lead gotten in stage 1, but not a pretty start from him, as Fossati goes to the inside of turn 1, Pelatti to the outside, which then will turn to the inside for Curva Grande, which is why Pelatti was able to emerge as the leader after the opening 2 corners, with a beautiful move from Sandro Pelatti, who was able to go into 1st position, place he has held up until the pit stop window, which has now opened for all drivers And here we are from the pit lane with Mauricio Slaviero and Antonio Caruccio.
We have just seen in the replay, Daniele is commentating in the booth. So welcome also from the pit lane, Sunday morning, which is the start of the stage. Behind us, pit stop window is about to be open. But tell us, how was this second round also for you? Because I mean, after Balaton, a huge work to promote and bring cars here. So how we are about to leave Vallelunga?
First of all, we are leaving very, very happy. Not only us, but all the teams and drivers. I think that all new drivers, all new teams that came, they are very, very happy. That's what makes me also very happy. We had a lot of work to do after Balaton, but I think it really paid off. So we are seeing something very nice in Vallelunga. Also, Vallelunga circuit is very nice. Everyone here helped a lot. You know, so I think we are in a good path to have a wonderful and very, very nice race in Misano.
Misano, which is the next round of TCR European Endurance, the third round of the season, with a new thing that we will try, which is the night race.
Correct. The race we will finish in the night, so that's really nice. That is something different, something that we want to put in the calendar to motivate even more the drivers and show that we are a championship that have different characteristics.
Thank you so much, Mauricio, and let's see what will happen with the pit stop. To you, Daniele.
Thank you so much, Antonio, and thank you to the promoter of the series, Mauricio Slaviero. Yes, we cannot wait for the night race in Misano, but the action is now right here, right now in Vallelunga, with the leading car of Turgut Konukoglu ready to peel back into the pit lane. We saw the two Gentili brothers switch behind the wheel of the Cupra of Brothers in Arms, and here you can see Brigliadori ready to help Konukoglu out of the car and get back in. After his brilliant stint yesterday, he needs to have a great performance today to catch back up to Sandro Pelatti and Tommaso Fossati, who is ready himself to give the car to Filippo Barberi. But here is the RC Motorsport car of Rodeo, who will give his Cupra to Federico Paolino, who has driven this car quite a lot in the past. Raced then in TCR Italy with an Audi, but back with the Cupra DSG for the TCR European Endurance. And here you can see the race leaders, but the third place of stage 2, Texaco Team AMS with the number 2 car, ready to get back out there. We will see if Brigliadori will be able to catch back up to Barberi and Pelatti, which is definitely the aim to secure the race win. Victor Faze being ever so crucial today. And let's not forget the drivers need to be very, very careful at the pit lane exit with the white line, whereas we see the stage leader of Sandro Pelatti entering the pit lane, whereas I thought I could see Tommaso Fossati right behind him as well. And here is Pelatti, and yes, Fossati is in the pit lane as well. Therefore, the two leading cars pitting on the same lap. Now peeling back into the pit lane, changing the front tires, which was the same strategy that drivers and teams elected to opt for yesterday. Car being lifted up, and now Barberi helping Fossati out of the car, and Fossati cleaning his seat in order for Barberi to get back in the car. And here you can see one of the Texaco Team AMS Audis, the number 4 of Sedaka-chan, the leader of the DSG class, now in the pit lane. Of course, the number 4 is now into the pits for its mandatory pit stop, whereas the RC Motorsport car gets back underway with Federico Paolino behind the wheel. It's a very busy pit lane right now, whereas Eric Brigliadori is already back out on track. And we'll see if pitting one lap earlier compared to their rivals made a difference or not for the number 2 car, which was just a couple of seconds behind the number 69 of Tommaso Fossati, who is looking to be back out there, perhaps even in front of Sandro Pelatti, who had perhaps a slightly slower pit stop. Both race cars ready to get back on the way after the minimum time has been served in the pits, with Eric Brigliadori quickly making his way through the final couple of corners. He will be very close at the end of this lap and at the start of the next one lap number 17, ready to get underway with Brigliadori now around the final corner of the race. As we can hear Sandro Pelatti getting back out there, it will be very close. I think Brigliadori has jumped Filippo Barberi, who is now exiting the pit lane, and perhaps even Sandro Pelatti. Yes, he has, and therefore Eric Brigliadori, with a fantastic outlap, is able to gain over Sandro Pelatti and Filippo Barberi. And of course, the phenomenal strategy from the Texaco Team AMS, thanks to the experience gathered in Vallelunga as well with the format, has given Eric Brigliadori the lead back to the number 2 car, with Eric Brigliadori that now has around 25 minutes left in order to try and hold on to this race lead. Of course, this helps massively the number 2 car in its quest for the second win in a row. And here we go, 22 minutes and 44 seconds to go, with Sandro Pelatti now actively in second position. Of course, we still have the number 3 car of Barkin Pinar yet to pit, and therefore the Gen 1 car is now in the lead of the race. A phenomenal feat, a huge feat for the TCR Gen 1 car, which is now in the pit lane, changing the front tires and getting youngster Zekai Özen strapped in. Of course, this lead was never going to last, but it was very, very nice to see the number 3 car and the Gen 1 car back in the lead. We've had all classes leading the overall standings at some point during this race. Yesterday it was Ibrahim Okiai in the DSG number 4 car leading the way from one lap when Eric Brigliadori pitted from first place, and now it was Barkin Pinar with the Gen 1 class Audi RS3, also from Texaco Team AMS, who is now leading the overall standings back in stage 2 for the first time today, with Eric Brigliadori behind the wheel, and now he can unleash his whole potential just the way he did yesterday. Whereas here you can see Özen getting ready to start his car once more and get out there trying to catch Ibrahim Okiai for the lead of the DSG class. Of course, Özen ahead of the DSG cars in his Gen 1 car, but it will be very interesting to see also this fight between 2 different classes that are very similar on pace, as now Özen leaves the pit lane. Here you can see the brothers in arms car of the 2 Gentili brothers, with Adriano taking over from Claudio in this first part of the race, in the second part of the race actually, with Eric Brigliadori now handling the Tormentino in first position with around a 3-second gap over Sandro Pelatti. And if his performance from yesterday is anything to go by, this gap is only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger once the race goes forwards. 20 minutes to go now, with Sandro Pelatti still in second place in the stage standings, but now actually virtually in second place in the overall standings as well, after finishing just 2 seconds behind Fossati and Barberi in stage 1. He now has around a 13-second gap over the number 69 car, which is more than enough to promote Pelatti up to second. He will need a flawless stint, however, to hold on to the second position. We know just how quick Filippo Barberi can be. 16.4 was the gap at the end of lap number 17. Right here you can see Brigliadori lapping Adriano Gentili, who very fairly and sportsmanlike gave way to the number 2 car. He's now holding down P1 and trying to extend the gap to ensure its dominance in the series. Still yet to drop points. The number 2 car getting pole position and inheriting 7 points in both Balaton and Vallelunga, getting the full 40 points in the overall standings thanks to the win at the Hungarian racetrack, and here on course to take a back-to-back victory in the TCR European Endurance's maiden season. in history. The number 72 car here of Sandro Pelatti. And now the camera is following its maiden rival, Filippo Barberi, with the Fox Racing car. The yellow and black livery of the Italian outfit, who is making its debut in the TCR European Endurance here in Vallelunga, together with PMA Motorsport. Currently in second position. Barberi now trying to catch up to Sandro Pelatti, who I have to say is really showing some great pace, still under 3 seconds away from Eric Brigliadori. Lost a couple of tenths in the last lap, but still a great effort from Sandro Pelatti, who has gained 4 tenths of a second over Filippo Barberi on lap 18, which is definitely going to help the driver of PMA Motorsport on his quest to the podium and to second position, as first place seems very unlikely now. Eric Brigliadori has taken the lead in stage 2 as well. And what a strategy from Texaco Team AMS. They did the same with Sedat Kachan and Ibrahim Okiai in stage 1 back in Balaton. And now they proved their excellence in the strategy department as well, once more, giving Eric Brigliadori the chance to emerge from the pit stop window in first position. But now we're ready to go forward with the race, and of course now watching.
And we are back in the pit with one of the drivers who finished her first stint in this case. Her fans are already growing here in Vallelunga, so she was cheering already. But first, Seda, tell us, how was your first part of the race in those stage 2?
It was important for me to, keep the position in the grid, and which I succeed. And I managed to leave a little gap between the car behind me. So I can say that I made a good job.
And how do you like Vallelunga? It's a nice car, it's a nice track. How does it fit with your car?
It's my first time in Vallelunga, and it's really enjoyable, a little bit risky, but it's really a teaching circuit, I guess. And I'm willing to come here again and improve my driving and, make the best in Vallelunga.
Thank you so much, and good luck for the end of the race.
Thank you, thank you.
Lovely to hear from Sedat Kachan.
Thank you.
The pit lane. She was in fact very, very good in the first stint of this stage 2, with the female driver for Texaco Team AMS taking the win in the Ladies Trophy back in Balaton. Of course, a driver with an international experience in the TCR world from last season. They made her debut in the international scene in TCR Italy around Imola with a double podium finish in the DSG car class. She knows this car really well. She has raced with it in the past 15 months. Finished on the podium and in second position overall in Balaton, winning the DSG race, leading the DSG standings with 54 points after qualifying here in Vallelunga, 14 more than absent team Zilla Motorsport with Zoltan Barkovic and Balazs Takac from Balaton, with Paulina Rodia holding third place at the moment in the standings and second here in Vallelunga. 40 minutes and 45 seconds to go. Brigliadori still in the lead of this stage, as we're ready to hear back from the pit lane. Now we're going to go.
And here we are with Konokoglu, the guy who came together with Eric as leader of the championship after Balaton. A good stage 1, as well a nice first part of stage 2 for you. So how was this first part of the race today?
Well, it was a good start, and my two competitors were at both sides, and I got a little bit sandwiched, and I wanted to be on the safe side, so I followed them for during the session. And right now we are leading, and so we have I think almost 30 seconds of advantage. And if everything goes right, I think we will finish. Yeah, if it rains, you never know. That can be a safety car. Hopefully not.
But right now everything looks good. The car was performing well, so there were no need for us to, overreact. So we are just, this is an endurance race. You have to keep the car in a good condition, and you need to, keep some performance to the end. So I think we will be in a good position shortly. And Eric is doing a great job right now, and the other guys are so experienced. So it's a good competition here.
Thank you so much. Good luck. And as Konokoglu said, Daniele, some raindrops are here in the pit lane. Not raining at the moment, but might arrive some light showers during the race. So your time now.
Very interesting to hear that, Antonio, because with 30 minutes left on the clock, rain could be the one variable we still haven't had in the championship so far after the crazy first round in Balaton. With the conditions that as we were saying before, much cooler than yesterday, with dark clouds now hovering over the Autodromo di Vallelunga. It's not raining on Eric Brigliadori's parade, however, so far, with the number 2 car still holding down P1 with a healthy 9-second advantage over Sandro Pelatti, who has leapfrogged Filippo Barberi actually in this first part of the second stint. 18 seconds is now the gap between Pelatti and Barberi. But now anything can happen in this race, especially with raindrops starting to fall from the sky.
We keep going in the pit lane, we keep going with Texaco Team AMS, with Pinar. So how was the first part of the race also for you?
That was so nice. It's first time in this circuit for me. First of all, I want to take you to all staff working for that race for us, marshals and others. Here is a really wonderful place, a wonderful racetrack, wonderful city. That was my first time in this track. The first part of the race, everything was under control. That was easy because Gen 1 is faster than the others, the SG cars. I try to keep everything under control and try to give the car to my teammate one piece, and I did it. I'm happy. Now he's on track. He's one of the best young best driver of Turkey. He's going right now. I believe we will finish at the best place.
Good luck also to you then.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye bye.
Lovely to hear from Barkin Pinar, who was devastated after beating the car into the gravel in Balaton, but came back fantastically, I must say, here in Vallelunga with a fantastic performance in stage 1 and of course in the first stint of stage number 2, with now the number 3 Gen 1 car driven by Zakai Özen, currently in 5th position, so slightly behind Seda Kachan and Ibrahim Okiai, but looking to gain back the time lost in the pit stop window. Of course, Pinar and Özen finishing in 4th yesterday, while also leading the Gen 1 class.
Last but not least in Texaco Team MS, Elif Tanka, she is the team manager here, so without her managing everything would be impossible to make it through pit stop, having 3 cars. So how is this going this weekend for you?
Oh, three cars, pit stop one after another. It's really horrible experience. Don't do that. But anyways, if now I can talk to you, it means that our stress level is very low. We are very happy with where we are right now. As Texaco Team AMS, we set the targets high, so we want to win it all, the titles and the categories and all of it. That's what we want. But if I can talk to you right now, it means that we are doing well. We want to go on like this. Thank you.
The Turkish take it almost all. Thank you so much,
And
Elif.
this is also our national holiday, it's the commemoration day of Atatürk, so I just want to hear my anthem. Hope so.
Let's see. To you, Daniele.
It will for sure be a very nice gift to Texaco Team AMS to hear the Turkish anthem blast through the speakers of the Vallelunga track, with Eric Brigliadori looking to do just that, bring the car home in first position, and it's looking very likely for the number 2 car, with now an 11.5 second gap over Sandro Pelatti with less than 9 minutes to go. Of course, these 11 seconds being added to the 31 they had over the number 72 car after stage number 1. But here you can see the other 2 Texaco Team AMS cars of Ibrahim Okiai and Zekai Özen in 4th and 5th place respectively, but of course leaders of the DSG class for the number 4 and the Gen 1 class for the number 3. We were hoping for a bit of a fight between Sandro Pelatti and Filippo Barberi, especially given the pace that Barberi had yesterday during stage 1. Unfortunately, spectacle-wise, that is not the case today, with Pelatti looking very strong on Sunday, and of course completing now his 2nd hour of racing between the 2 days, not showing any signs of fatigue or stress in the car. Exactly what you expect from a very seasoned and experienced driver such as Sandro Pelatti. Now with the cameras on the number 72 car, who is looking likely to finish in 2nd position now, thanks to this brilliant performance on stage 2. Now looking down the standings, we also have Federico Paolino trying to gain as much time as possible on Ibrahim Okiai for the DSG lead, but the Texaco Team AMS car seems to be just slightly quicker than the RC Motorsport car.
So Daniele, we move with the Fox Racing Team box with the cocktail guy, with Tommaso Fossati, who took the start of this stage 2. So how was this first part of the race for you?
The first part of the race, I tried to stay in P2 for conclude the race in P2 behind Briadori, but in the last in the time of the race, we have a little problem nelle gomme,
on the tires.
On the tires. We try to stay in P2, but the exit, the pit, it's too late, so we can't remain in P2.
Thank you so much, and see you hopefully on the podium.
Thank you.
Not the easiest of races for Fox Racing Team, of course, hoping to finish in 2nd, as young Tommaso Fossati was saying with Antonio Caruccio in the interviews, but still a 3rd place for now for the number 69 car, with Filippo Barberi trying his hardest to catch back up to Sandro Pelatti, who is however looking extra strong today. Fortunately, we're not going to hear from him, of course, being that he has spent all the time in the car this weekend with Pelatti holding 2nd position as for now, with the audio Filippo Barberi trying to catch back up to him to fight for that 2nd position in the overall standings. Still 5 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Still some raindrops threatening to change everything here in Vallelunga. And here you can see the leader, Eric Brigliadori, lap the RC Motorsport car of Federico Paolino, and Alberto Rodio, the former, now in the car, the Cupra, making its debut in the series with RC Motorsport, heading to Vallelunga, their home track, just a few miles away from the Italian capital of Rome. And here you can see Paolino perhaps trying to learn as much as possible from the leader, Eric Brigliadori. Of course, these are 2 different classes, with Paolino racing with a car that is equipped with a DSG gearbox, whereas Eric Brigliadori is in the overall standings.
So Daniele, here we are with Alberto Rodio. I will ask you then to translate his answer during the streaming. How was the first part of the race for you in the debut race with RC Motorsport in TCR European Endurance?
La prima parte di gara è andata abbastanza bene, speravo in una partenza migliore e di recuperare delle posizioni. Non ci sono riuscito, ho mantenuto un ritmo, sono stato abbastanza costante e di questo ne sono contento. La RC Motorsport mi ha dato una macchina a postissimo, e mi ci sono trovato molto bene, devo dire a mio agio. Non ho faticato moltissimo infatti nel mio stint e l'unica cosa speravo di poter guadagnare una posizione in più, sarei stato più soddisfatto.
Thank you so much.
Lovely words from Alberto Rodio, who said that he was hoping for a better start and perhaps to gain a couple of places, at least one, especially over the number 4 car, the leader of the DSG class, whereas we have Filippo Barberi stuck and stopped on track, actually, with the number 69 car dropping from 3rd position with just 3 minutes and 22 seconds to go. A nightmare for Fox Racing Team. They were looking so good for the podium places in the overall standings, now stopped and likely to retire. I think it's right before turn number 4, the 2 chimney corners. Yes, it is. Oh, what a shame for the number 69 car. Oh, Tommaso Fossati and Filippo Barberi, the latter in the car. Possibly a technical issue striking the Audi RS3 that will drop like a stone now in the standings and is likely to promote the number 3 car of Barkin Pinar and Zekai Özen to the podium.
With Claudio Gentili from Brothers in Arms, the last car that we still miss to interview at the end of the second stage of the race. So how was this second part of the race for you?
La gara è andata un po' non troppo bene perché abbiamo avuto problemi con l'ABS, ma per noi è stata una gara di rodaggio perché sono 20 anni che non facciamo proprio più una vera e propria gara, perché abbiamo fatto sempre nell'ultimo periodo gli istruttori. È un campionato bellissimo, divertente e speriamo di esserci anche alla prossima.
Thank you so much, Claudio.
Interesting words from Claudio Gentili, saying that he had some problems with the ABS during the first half of today's stage, but he was very happy to be here and hopefully we'll see him back together with his brother for Misano on the 22nd of June. Of course, brothers in arms, not having raced for almost 20 years, at least for Claudio and Adriano Gentili. Interesting to hear from the Italian driver having problems with the ABS, because the other Cupra of Federico Paolino and Alberto Rodio, in fact, does not have ABS on their Cupra to try and go old style and, of course, prevent any technical issues from happening, which is exactly what happened with the number 168 car. But here we have the fight for what could be a spot on the podium in the overall standings with Ibrahim Okiai and Barkin Pinar ready to fight for 3rd position in the standings, with the number 4 car now slightly ahead of Pinar, and definitely the team manager of the Turkish outfit not as light-hearted as before, with the number 4 car locking up into turn number 8 at Sorate, with now Özen looking to the inside, but Okiai closing the door on his teammate. Let's not forget that yesterday it was the Gen 1 car, the number 3 of Pinar and Özen, to finish in front of the number 4, and therefore they have the upper hand in the standings compared to the first race of the season, where it was Okiai and Kachan that stepped on the overall podium. A big chance now then for Barkin Pinar and Zekai Özen, whereas now we see the leader Eric Brigliadori, as the clock strikes 0. We will then have one more lap to decide the final order and the race classification of the second round of the TCR European Endurance from Vallelunga, as Eric Brigliadori now starts the final lap of the race in his Audi. Of course, the attention needs to go on the 2 sister cars of Texaco Team AMS, with now Özen looking extra dangerous on Ibrahim Okiai, taking the slipstream towards Campagnano. Round the outside goes Zekai Özen, but he does not have the space to complete the move and has to yield the place back to Ibrahim Okiai. who however needs to have a bigger gap compared to the few tenths that separate him between the number 4 and the number 3 in order to finish on the overall podium. With Zekai Özen now looking to make some inroads and trying his hardest to race his rival. They will have one more lap, of course. They're in front of Eric Brigliadori, who is looking to finish the race in just a matter of seconds. And of course, Brigliadori now watched by the cameras as he goes towards the S's and the final corner for the final time here in Vallelunga. It's been a dream start in Balaton for Konukoglu and Brigliadori. There was only one way for this race to go for them, and it was to both claim the pole position, the lead of the first stage of the race, and the win after stage 2. Checkered flag for the number 2 car, and Eric Brigliadori together with Turgut Konukoglu win the opening race in Italy, the second round of the season for TCR European Endurance, as we now go back live with the battle for third place in the second stage, with now Özen being closer than ever to the number 4 car, going right around the outside with the Okiai trying to defend and managing to do so pretty well, and at the inside of turn number 7. Of course, with the number 3 car now ready to make a move towards perhaps the final part of the track. Not too long before the end of the race for these two, with Ibrahim Okiai having to defend hard. Of course, Brigliadori has already taken the checkered flag, and the two Texaco Team AMS cars are rounding out the final couple of corners. It looks to be a third position on track for Seda Kachan and Ibrahim Okiai in stage 2. However, this is likely not going to be enough to challenge Pinar and Özen for the overall podium, thanks to the two guys' finish yesterday in stage 1. And here you can see Eric Brigliadori ready to round the final corner for the final time. Now taking the checkered flag to win the second race of the season here in Vallelunga. A phenomenal display from Turgut Konukoglu and Eric Brigliadori, and here the fight still goes on with Barkin Pinar and Zekai Özen trying their hardest, especially Özen now in the car, to get past Ibrahim Okiai, who looks to be struggling between turns 4, 5 and 6. As Özen now looks to the inside, whereas Sandro Pelatti is now able to cross the start-finish line to secure second place in stage 2 and in the overall standings as well. Lovely work from the Italian and from PMA Motorsport, who make their debut here in Vallelunga with a podium finish. But the attention is all on the two Texaco Team AMS Audis of Okiai and Özen. The latter still desperately trying to finish in third, at least in stage 2 as well, with the number 3 car having the upper hand in the overall standings thanks to the result of stage 1, which will see them on the podium, on the overall podium, as well as on the Gen 1 top step. It will be a DSG win for Ibrahim Okiai, but likely not a overall podium like in Balaton, where the Turkish pair finished second. Now rounding out the final corner of the race, with Ibrahim Okiai finishing stage 2 in third position ahead of Zekai Özen. But unfortunately that will not be enough for Okiai to finish on the podium. With Eric Brigliadori slowing down now after the checkered flag. It was a lovely work from Texaco Team AMS, once again sweeping the 3 categories. Was slightly harder than in Balaton, but nothing could stop Turgut Konukoglu and Eric Brigliadori on their way to the second win of the season, the second win in a row, of course, for the number 2 car. now leapfrogging the rest of the grid in the standings. Good work from the RC Motorsport Roma car that we see there right behind Brigliadori, with Federico Paolino and Alberto Rodio finishing in second position in the DSG class, just ahead of brothers in arms, with Adriano and Claudio Gentili making their comeback to racing after 20 years, able to finish in third place in the DSG class. And what a fight between these two. Definitely no love lost between the two, but fair, hard racing from Ibrahim Okiai and Zekai Özen, with the pair able to finish in the top 4 and winning their respective classes. A success for Okiai and Kachan in the DSG category, extending their lead in the standings, whereas Pinar and Özen continue their dominance in the Gen 1 class, being the sole entry dedicated to two cars that have not received any updates from 2018 onwards. It's really a shame for the number 69 car, a possible clutch issue for Filippo Barberi, who had to retire with just 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go. They were looking very strong for a podium finish, perhaps even a second place ahead of Sandro Pelatti. Everything would have been decided in the final few minutes of the race, but unfortunately for Fox Racing, it's an ending to forget here in Vallelunga. And here we can see the replays of today's stage number 2, that defined the champions and the winners of the second round of the season. It wasn't an easy start for Turgut Konukoglu, who got overtaken by both Sandro Pelatti on the inside and Tommaso Fossati on the outside, with Pelatti taking the lead of stage 2, with Fossati right behind him, challenging the number 72 towards chimney corners. Unfortunately, not making it over his rival, with the number 72 car then holding P1 until the pit stop phase. And here you can see the lovely fight between the number 4 and the number 3 of Texaco Team AMS, Ibrahim Okiai, locking up, almost leaving the space for Zekai Özen to put his car up the inside. It was a fair, hard fight between the two, but nothing could stop the other Texaco Team AMS car of Eric Brigliadori and Turgut Konukoglu, who eventually got the win in the overall standings here in Vallelunga. Just as confirmation, it is the number 3 car of Barkin Pinar and Zekai Özen in third place, with, in the overall standings of course, with the number 72 of Sandro Pelatti taking second position. And here you can see the replay of the start again. And it was a lovely performance from Sandro Pelatti, of course the sole entry for PMA Motorsport, the sole driver for the Italian outfit, the only one racing on his own. And he did not disappoint. I mean, the reigning champion of Coppa Italia Turismo showed just what he can do on a racetrack and with a TCR car. Of course, having participated in the first round of the 2024 Coppa Italia Turismo here in Vallelunga last month, together with the TCR World Tour, which was an incredible experience for him, being part of the World Series dedicated to TCR cars. Today finishing in second position in the overall standings, just behind Konukoglu and Brigliadori. In the DSG class, it's of course a win for Ibrahim Okiai and Seda Kachan. Okiai able to defend, at least in the stage, from Zekai Özen right in the final few minutes. Second place in the DSG category goes to RC Motorsport, with Federico Paolino and Alberto Rodio able to conquer a spot on the DSG podium, as well as Adriano and Claudio Gentili, two brothers that created Brothers in Arms back in 2020 after keeping their father's legacy. After a bit of a hiatus, they were able to come back to racing, and the number 168 Cupra finished in third place in the DSG class. It's not just an overall podium for the number 3 car of Texaco Team AMS of Barkin Pinar and Zekai Özen, but it's of course a win in the Gen 1 category, showing just how prepared Texaco Team AMS was before this championship. Of course, with the second round now done, all eyes will be in Misano for what will be the start of the second half of the season from the 20th to the 22nd of June on the Misano World Circuit dedicated to Marco Simoncelli. The TCR European Endurance cars will be back for more action. And as the promoter of the series, Mauricio Slaviero, was saying before, we will have a lovely night race awaiting us in Misano, which will definitely make a big contribution to the already high level of spectacle in the series. A championship that will then have its final round at the Slovakia ring in Orecova Poton in Slovakia from the 23rd to the 25th of August, where we will crown the first outright champions of the TCR European Endurance's history. Of course, let's not forget the 3 trophies, the additional trophies that are awarded to the ladies class, which was won by Seda Kachan, of course, today, just like in Balaton. It was the number 3 car with Zekai Özen to take the win in the junior category after Fossati and Barberi were looking to keep going and take the win in the junior class, whereas now we can see the beautiful podium over the paddock here in Vallelunga, one of the most beautiful podiums in Europe. As now the drivers make their way towards the podium with Texaco Team AMS going to take the 3rd spot with the number 3 car of Ozen and Pinar, Sandro Pelatti in 2nd position. And then, of course, Turgut Konukoglu and Eric Brigliadori, the number 2 car, the winners here in the TCR European Endurance. Now the podium are ready to start their celebration, not before hearing the national anthem. The Turkish anthem for Texaco Team AMS with Mauricio Slaviero, the promoter of the series, giving 3rd position to Zekai Özen and Barkin Pinar. First of all, of course, giving team coordinator and team manager Elif the trophy for the win of the team standings. 2nd position goes to Sandro Pelatti, a phenomenal performance from the Italian with PMA Motorsport, able to finish in 2nd position. Fortunately not enough for Pelatti to challenge Brigliadori and Konukoglu, the 2 drivers winning the 2nd race in a row. Now giving the trophy back to Texaco Team AMS for their 2nd win in a row. And the champagne party can now start with Brigliadori and Konukoglu, the winners of the 2nd race of the TCR European Endurance here in Vallelunga. Sandro Pelatti finishes in 2nd place, whereas Zekai Özen and Barkin Pinar are in 3rd here from TCR European Endurance. For the 2nd round here in Vallelunga, let's not forget the next round will be in Misano in the 22nd of June for yet some more action from the European Endurance Series dedicated to TCR cars. As we get ready to have a look at the DSG podium as well. And of course the three trophies, the juniors, the ladies and the gentlemen being called on the podium, with Sedaka-chan winning the ladies trophy once again after her brilliant performance in Balaton. Here is the lovely images from the podium in Vallelunga with Kachan on the top step of the podium of the ladies class. Now ready to call Zekai Erzen to the podium for the juniors class. As I was saying before, it was Fossati and Barberi looking very likely to take that win, but unfortunately their retirement with just 3.5 minutes to go meant that it was Zekai Erzen once again who took the win in the juniors class, of course reserved to drivers with 21 years of age or less. Taking the trophy, whereas the gentleman class has been won, of course, by Sandro Pelatti and his phenomenal performance from today and yesterday, of course, finishing in third in stage 1 and then going one step better in the second stage. Now Sandro Pelatti being called to the podium once more. Beautiful images from Vallelunga with Mauricio Slaviero congratulating the driver that has won in the gentleman class, of course second in the overall standings as well, with PMA Motorsport, who made a brilliant debut here in Vallelunga. Unfortunately it wasn't enough for the Italian outfit to challenge Texaco Team AMS, who will then be in first place and actually securing a 1 and 1, 2, 3 in the 3 different standings, winning of course the DSG trophy. But here we have Zekai Özen and Barkin Pinar for the Gen 1 class. A phenomenal performance from the number 3 car, who looked to be challenging the number 4 for third place today in the stage standings. It was still enough for Ozen and Pinar to claim a spot on the overall podium as well, their first time on the overall podium after finishing 4th back in Balaton. The DSG podium is ready to get underway with Ibrahim Okiai and Sedaka-chan, who will be claiming top spot, with then the number 5 car of Federico Paulino and Alberto Rodio stepping on the podium in second position, and of course the 2 Gentili brothers of Adriano and Claudio, who are ready to get a taste of champagne themselves, with the number 168 Cupra finishing in third in the DSG class. And here are the protagonists of the class reserved to cars with DSG gearbox. The 2 brothers in arms stepping on the podium in third place. Second place for Alberto Rodio and Federico Paolino for RC Motorsport, the local Roman team, being able to step on the DSG podium. Just missing out on the win, but once again it goes to Ibrahim Okiai and Sedaka-chan, who were absolutely outstanding, not only today but yesterday too. Unfortunately missing out on the overall podium, but a phenomenal weekend nonetheless for the 2 of them. And the Turkish outfit once again on top here in Vallelunga. Mauricio Slaviero congratulating all 6 drivers on the podium, handing out the trophies to the 2 Gentili brothers, to Rodio and Paolino, and then later on to Sedaka-chan and Ibrahim Okiai. It was a lovely spectacle for TCR European Endurance here in Vallelunga, and as the photos and the champagne is ready to be opened, I want to thank you for being with us today for yet another brilliant race day here from Vallelunga, and the TCR European Endurance is ready to welcome you to Misano next month on the 22nd of June for its beautiful night race at the Misano World Circuit, It will be round 3 of the season, and we will see if and who can challenge Turgut Konukoglu and Eric Brigliadori for the overall win, with Okiai and Kachan looking to secure the 3rd win in a row for the DSG class. That's all for now here in Vallelunga. Thanks for being with us, and see you next time.